And here's our agenda for today. Thank you. I see everyone in the chat. I'm trying to use both screens since it's just me here today. So welcome from all over. I see from the West Coast, East Coast, down in the South, even Puerto Rico. Welcome. Thank you everyone for attending. So here's our agenda for today. It's going to be a lot of information that I'm going to try to get through as quick as possible within this 1 hour that we have together today, as well as address any questions that you have. I do ask that if you have any questions, right then in that moment, please add it to the Q&A. Don't try to wait till later on at the end. You may forget it, and it may be a good question or some information that will be useful to you. A lot of information in this presentation will be used, or you can use it as part of your market research if you haven't already, with identifying those offices or those opportunities within the Department of Veteran Affairs. So I'll briefly give you an overview of the Department of Veteran Affairs. And then I'll go into what VA buys, VA small business goals, what VA business lines are, where VA buys, how VA buys, and also I will be providing you some tips for success, useful resources, and then briefly go over the OSDBU initiative. And before I get started, I just thought about it. I forgot to mention the Q&A. For those that are not aware where the Q&A is, if you are on your laptop or desktop, to the right, you'll see 3 dots. When you click on that, you can open up the Q&A. That's where you will insert your questions. For those that are using a mobile device and you're using the WebEx app, there should be 3 dots either to your right at the top or the bottom of the screen. When you click on those 3 dots, there are 2 tabs. One says Advanced. If you click on the Advanced tab and scroll all the way down to the bottom, you will see where it says Q&A, and that is where you will insert your questions that you have. Yes, the slides will be shared. Well, the link to the slides, they will be shared by tomorrow morning. So VA, in 1930, the VA was established as an independent agency and elevated to the cabinet level in 1989. And the central office, or as we call it, VACO, is in Washington, D.C., and our field facilities are throughout the U.S. and its territories. It is the second largest federal department with over 400,000 employees who help to fulfill its mission of serving veterans and their families. And we serve a population of 26 million veterans and their spouses, survivors, and dependents. So now I'll talk about what VA business lines are. This slide shows you VA's main business line. Its main business line is what you probably often, for those who have been doing business with VA, you've often heard about the Veterans Benefits Administration, the Veterans Health Administration, and the National Cemetery Administration. And so the Veterans Benefit Administration, it acts as the central hub for the initial registration, evaluating eligibility, and efficiently administering 5 key non-medical benefit programs offered by the VA. So usually what you'll hear is when veterans, are looking at compensation, insurance, veteran readiness and employment, those opportunities are at the Veterans Benefits Administration. The Veterans Health Administration is home to one of the United States' largest integrated healthcare systems, providing comprehensive care to 9 million veterans annually. And it comprises of over 172 medical centers, providing care at a little over 1,100 outpatient sites of care. So usually, like I stated before, you hear about the VA medical centers, or you hear about the CBOP clinics. Even as far as if some of you are veterans that are on the call today, or have family members that are veterans that have experienced the Veterans Health Administration, you are aware of the different services that they provide to the veteran community. And then the last one of the main business line is the National Cemetery Administration, which honors the veterans and their families by providing final resting places in national cemeteries, shrines, and tributes commemorating their service and sacrifice to our nation. And so some of the services that are provided there, the National Cemetery Maintenance, state and tribal government veteran cemetery grants, I see that there's a question, does the VA contract with nonprofits? So you wouldn't necessarily when you are contracting. I'll get into that later on. Thank you for that question, but I'll get into that later on because I actually do cover that information. So sticking with VA business lines, I just went over NCA, VBA, and VHA, what you commonly hear about those offices. These are the VA staff offices. Sometimes businesses, they think about the main business lines and don't really realize that our staff offices also solicit for services. So for example, where you see a check mark, that check mark is if you were to go into sam.gov or if you were to go into USA Spending and conduct some market research, you would have identified that those offices have actually solicited for small business services or business services in general. So the Office of Management, they manage and provide strategic and operational leadership in budget, access, enterprise management, financial management, business transformation services, and actual service and business oversight. Now, I'm providing this information to you today because as I'm mentioning what they're within that business line or that staff office, what the services they provide, maybe it'll trigger for you, oh, I could possibly provide services for that staff office or for that main business line. So the Office of Information Technology plays a critical role in using technology to bridge the gap between veterans and the VA. And so for any of those businesses that are providing that type of service or that product, this may be an office of interest to you. The Office of Enterprise Integration, they orchestrate and lead the continuous improvement of veterans and employee experiences through effective enterprise integration of people, processes, technology, innovations, and maturing organizational management capabilities. And what you may find within all of these offices is when it comes to IT, there may be a lot of solicitations more so on the IT side or the administrative professional side, staffing side, that these VA staff offices, the services that they are looking for or the products that they are looking for. The Office of Human Resources and Administration, Operations, Security, and Preparedness, they lead the development and oversight of human capital strategies, policies, and practices while managing the department's preparedness, law enforcement, and security capabilities. The Office of Public and Intergovernmental Affairs, they develop and routinely update and communicate the VA's key messages to main audiences through media relations, public affairs, intergovernmental affairs, outreach, and veteran engagement. The Office of Congressional and Legislative Affairs advances pro-veteran legislation, and they maintain the responsive and effective communication with Congress. The Office of Accountability and Whistleblower Protection, they promote and improve accountability in VA. The Office of General Counsel provides legal advice and services to all organizational components of the VA. So for example, when I went into SAM to identify if OGC, which is the Office of General Counsel, solicited for services, they did in the past solicit for services on the IT side. So the Office of Acquisition, Logistics, and Construction, they provide a full range of innovative, cost-effective business solutions and responsible services tailored to meet our customers' ongoing and emerging needs. And some of those offices that solicit for services for products within OALC, which is the Office of Acquisition, Logistics, and Construction, they are the VA Acquisition Academy. If anybody attended NVSBE last year, we did have an executive that spoke about some of the opportunities that may be coming up with the VA Acquisition Academy. Also, the Strategic Acquisition Center, the Technology Acquisition Center, the National Acquisition Center, and the construction of facilities and management. So the Board of Veteran Appeals, they are responsible for making final decisions for the benefits and services from VBA, VHA, and NCA. And those are the three main business lines that I spoke about on the previous slide, as well as the Office of General Counsel, OGC. Then there's the Veteran Experience Office, which supports the VA as the customer experience insight engine and shared service to partner with, support, and enable VA administrations and staff offices to provide the highest quality customer care. So Within their office, there may be opportunities if you were to go to look at the forecast of contracting opportunities, or even look at past opportunities that were on SAM for IT or staffing. And then there's the Office of the Office of Inspector General is responsible for conducting and supervising audits and investigations, recommending policies designed to promote economy and efficient in the administration of, and to prevent and detect criminal activity, waste, abuse, and mismanagement in VA programs and operations. And the third is keeping the Secretary and Congress fully informed about problems and deficiencies in VA programs and operations and the need for corrective actions. So these are the business lines where when you are looking for opportunities within the Department of Veteran Affairs, they are coming from out of those three main business lines that I spoke about: VBA, NCA, and VHA, or these staff offices that are listed here. Now I'm going to look at the questions before I move on. Okay. All right. So the next slide. Here are some other offices within VA. And here's a list of those programs that's listed for services and products. The Veteran Canteen Service. Their operations may include retail stores, online shopping, cafes, coffee shops, vending machines, catering services, food trucks, retail optical services, and barber or beauty shops, depending on which area that you're located in. How many, and I'm looking at the chat here, how many people so far of the offices that I have covered knew this information? Or if you didn't know this information, I'm looking for some engagement and interaction in the chat that you did not know, and this is new information for you. Okay, great, I'm glad. So this, starting off with the VA offices, it will help you to identify again where you may need to start off with when you are speaking to the, the buyers, who you need to be speaking with. Okay, great. Thank you everyone that commented in the chat. So Veterans Canteen Service, it's headquartered in St. Louis, Missouri, and it's charged with providing reasonably priced merchandise and services for the comfort and the well-being of the veterans enrolled in the VA's healthcare system, their families, their caregivers, as well as VA employees and volunteers and those visitors. So everyone is able to experience within the Veterans Canteen Service, everyone is able to experience those services or products that they're providing. If you would like to mute the chat, you can actually, if you click on it's a X, and right next to the X, it's a box with an arrow. You can actually pull, if you're on the laptop, on a computer, or a desktop or a laptop, click on that and it will remove the chat from your center screen. So I saw that there was a question on how do you remove the chat. So the canteen locations are included at the VA medical centers, community-based outpatient clinics, what we call CBOCs, and those other outpatient clinics and healthcare centers. And they also provide coffee and food services are offered at some of the Veteran Benefits Administration locations. So the majority of enhanced use lease projects, they provide safe, affordable housing for veterans and their families. The properties are leased to leasing entities that finance, design, develop, construct, or rehabilitate, operate, and maintain the property. The lessee assumes all financial obligations and risks associated with the development. These lessees utilize various sources of financing, including but not limited to low-income housing tax credits, state and local government funding, grants, commercial loans, and public issue bonds. So for anybody that is in the providing the service of leasing to veterans, we do have a program called HUT-VASH. I didn't mention HUT-VASH on here, but if you were to go to your search engine and to type in HUT-VASH, you would go to their website, to see that additional information about that program and how, if that is the type of service that you provide, how you would be able to do business with VA. Some of that information is on grants.gov too, because they do award grants, and I'll briefly go over that information in a second. There's also the consolidated mail outpatient pharmacy facilities, and they are located in Kansas, Arizona, Massachusetts, Texas, Tennessee, Illinois, and South Carolina. And in fiscal year 2020, approximately 84% of all of outpatient prescriptions were dispensed by VHA. So instead of, for example, with the veterans going to receive their medicine, instead of saying, go to one of these other outpatient pharmacies or one of the other pharmacies that are out there, VA actually provides that service in-house and actually mails the medications out as well. So that's the consolidated mail outpatient pharmacy. Why do I have it here? If you go on SAM, and if you provide that type of service, like delivery type of service, then you will see that there are a lot of solicitations that are posted from the consolidated mail outpatient pharmacy. And you won't see its entire name. What you'll see is CMOP if you were to go look at that information. Now we're moving on into what are VA small business goals. Now I'll briefly go through this because I'm pretty sure you guys already know about VA small business goals that were awarded by SBA, or I'm sorry, that were posted by SBA, but I just wanted to include this, as I stated, for your reference points. Back in fiscal year 23, I have that data because the information is available. We're still working on the information for fiscal year 24, but as you can see down here at the bottom, I'm sorry, okay, there we go. I was trying to find the little arrow so you can follow with me. When you receive this presentation, it's going to say additional data, and you can actually click on this to go directly to the data, and you'll see a lot of this throughout the presentation. You can click on these, and then it'll take you to where the data is located. Again, you can use this as part of your market research as you're continuing navigating doing business with VA. So down here at the bottom, it says small business goals. From 2022, our achievement was 20.29%. I just wanted to highlight that in fiscal year 23, our achievement was actually 33.27%. I apologize, I had the arrow cover it, but it was 33.27%. And what you will find is that with VA, excluding from 2020 with COVID, you will notice that with our prime, and this is the prime contracting goals and achievements. With the prime contracting goals, it has gone up throughout the years. And so at your own time, you can go back and you can look at the information. And I just included this down at the bottom for you to be able to see the 2022 goals compared to the prime contracting goals from fiscal year 23. For fiscal year 23, these are the subcontracting goals and their achievements. What you will find when you look at the data is that in 2022, our achievement was 11%, but then in 2023, our achievement was 10.33%. And so at the end of this presentation, I'll actually discuss some of the initiatives that OSDBU has put into place to reflect the way that the prime contracting goals and achievements are to see that we are meeting our goal. Here's information for fiscal year 24 at the top. Like I stated, I actually pulled this information here at the top from SBA. So that's why it says as of March 15th of this year. And these are the prime goals and these are the subcontracting goals. At the bottom is what the Secretary of the VA has assigned. And what you'll see is additional, like for example, with, where is it? With SBA, there's the service disabled veteran owned. Here down at the bottom for VA department wide goals, we have the service disabled veteran owned goal, and then we also have the veteran owned goal, as well as all small businesses, hub zone, small disadvantage, and women owned. And what you'll see is a prime contracting goal here, and then the subcontracting goal is at the bottom. Now, before I go into what does VA buy, because I've kind of covered some of that information before, I'll look into the chat to see if there are any questions. Does the Veteran Canteen Service, the program we work with, if we want to sell fresh fruit beverages to help with veterans get sober in recovery, or just wanting a healthier, no added sugar beverage? So what you have to do is conduct additional market research. So this is part or should be part of your market research. So you start off, you know what they're selling. So you'll have to go out there. And I apologize, everyone, because VA solicits for a lot of services and products. I don't know every single thing off the top of my head. I know a few of the major services or bigger services like construction and IT that VA purchases, but that information is readily available or readily accessible and on all of the free sites that we usually mention throughout our trainings. Which division of the VA utilizes home medical equipment and supplies providers and information? I'm actually going to get into that information. So just going back to the agenda, I'm going to be talking about where VA buys, what VA buys. So I'll go through the chat with some of your questions to address it if I haven't already throughout this presentation at the end, but that information will be included in here. So what does VA buy? The VA operates a vast network of facilities nationwide to serve veteran needs. And to support these facilities and their vital missions, the VA procures a wide range of products and services. What you see on this slide is some of those. So some of the top product service lines are facilities and construction and professional services. But then there's also on the medical side, information technology side, as well as travel. These are the offices that I mentioned earlier, Office of Procurement, Acquisition, and Logistics. What you'll see when you go on SAM or you look into forecasting, you'll see these offices posted or these offices listed in the posting: Strategic Acquisition Center, Technology Acquisition Center, National Acquisition Center. They are soliciting for these main business lines. They are soliciting for these offices. So for example, when you go on sam.gov and you see, okay, there is an opportunity that I'm looking at that is coming from the Strategic Acquisition Center. If you open up the solicitation, you will, or whatever the notice type is, you'll find the additional information within that paragraph, or it's probably like a few paragraphs of information if you're looking at a solicitation itself and not, for example, a sources sought. It will tell you which office it's coming out of, which office, which office it's coming out of, what the office, why the office needs that service or product. But then when you look at the contractor officer's information, the contractor officer's information, they will either be at the Strategic Acquisition Center, they will either be posted at the Technology Acquisition Center, or they will be posted at the National Acquisition Center. So if you bear with me for a few more moments, I'm going to tell you about each office and what they purchase. So then that'll save you time when as I'm mentioning what they are purchasing or what they're soliciting, which office it's coming out of, you'll know which office to reach out to, which small business liaison to contact for that information. So these offices are located, as I said, in Opal. And the Strategic Acquisition Center, they have two locations. One is in Frederick, Virginia, and one is in Frederick, Maryland. I'm sorry, Fredericksburg, Virginia, and the other is in Frederick, Maryland. I always get those confused. And so the SAC, that's what we call it for short, is strategically organized to meet veterans' health care needs and support VA medical centers nationwide. So the SAC Fredericksburg office, it primarily supports VHA, that's one of the main business lines. It primarily supports their VHA's procurement needs through the award of strategic sourcing contract vehicles. And the SAC Frederick office supports our nation's veterans by providing life cycle, innovative acquisition solutions, and business advice to its customers, primarily for professional services. So the National Acquisition Center is responsible for supporting the health care requirements of the VA and other government agencies. And under the Federal Supply Schedule, for those that are aware of the GSA schedule, under the Federal Supply Schedule, because VA has a Federal Supply Schedule, and the National Contract Programs, the NAC, National Acquisition Center, they award high volume, multiple award schedules, national contracts, and blanket purchase agreements for the acquisition and direct delivery of pharmaceuticals, medical, surgical, dental, and patient mobility equipment supplies, high technology medical equipment, temporary allied healthcare staffing services, and just-in-time distribution programs. And so for our Technology Acquisition Center, I mean, the name really does speak for itself. TAC provides streamlined business and contracting solutions for a variety of major information technology programs. So when you are speaking to, when you're reaching out to those contracting officers, they're probably working in one of these offices. But remember, from where I mentioned the business lines, one of those offices, main business line or staffing offices, are the ones that are, and there are many different offices within those business lines. They're going to be the ones that's going to be requesting or soliciting for your services. And so, not to say the best for last, but the VA, it turns groundbreaking research into real world solutions through the technology transfer program. I know there may be businesses on here that provide innovative, services or products, as opposed to just selling a specific product or service. And so the TTP, which is the Technology Transfer Program, they work alongside VA researchers to safeguard promising inventions with intellectual property protection. They then bridge the gap between research and industry by facilitating licensing agreements and collaborations. And this program ensures valuable discoveries become products and those services that directly benefit veterans, the public, and the U.S. economy. In addition to contracting, VA also offers grant opportunities, like I mentioned before, and I do recommend going over to grants.gov to explore those opportunities if they are of interest to your business, because there are grant opportunities outside of contracting opportunities with the Department of Veteran Affairs. Here, I pulled this information from USA Spending. You'll notice a lot that I speak about either, if not FPDS, which I don't mention that site often, but SAM.gov and USAspending.gov as far as doing some research, some market research to identify competitors, to identify potential buyers. So I did pull this information out, and what you're looking at is VA spending from fiscal year 21 to present. So looking at the past 3.5 years, at the sub-agencies for VA, Veterans Benefits Administration in the past 3.5 years has spent a little over $503 billion. VHA has spent a little over $209 billion. Department of Veteran Affairs, and what that means is those are the staffing offices, has spent a little over $193 billion. And then the National Cemetery Administration has spent a little over $154 million. Again, some of this information that a good majority of the information that I'm providing today is going to be really useful as you continue to conduct your market research. Now, continuing along with what VA is buying. This is fiscal year 23's top industry codes. And what you see is the top industry codes is direct health and medical insurance carriers, pharmaceutical preparation, manufacturing, and then I'm just listing the top 3, computer systems design services. So that was for fiscal year 23. There is more than 10, 20, 30, 40 NAICS codes. So what this information says, or how you can use this information, is looking at this, you can also go back to SAM, or you can go back to USA Spending to identify what exactly, and I'll move on to the next slide, what exactly VA has purchased so far. What we're looking at here is fiscal year 24 top industry codes. We're about to be in the third quarter in a few days. So out of the past 6 months, the first and the second quarter, this is what VA has solicited for. This is 33.75% so far within this fiscal year has gone to direct health and medical insurance carriers. And then 12.5% and under have gone to offices of physicians and so forth on down. Again, what you're looking at is the top 10. So if you don't see the service that your business provides on here, or the product that your business provides, doesn't mean that VA isn't buying it. It just means that what you can do is you can take it a step further and go to these other sites to conduct your market research to identify those offices. What you're looking at here is VA spending from fiscal year 21 to present, and the top NAICS codes by the dollars. And so from fiscal year 21 to present, and remember the previous slide that we looked at was which offices, which main business lines or the staff offices that VA spent. Now we're looking at the top NAICS codes, and we're seeing, again, direct health and medical insurance, pharmaceutical preparation, manufacturing, and computer systems design services are still at the top. So before I go into where does VA buy, I'm going to look at the chat for a second. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the Q&A. What are the 2 sites you can use to grab spending information? I'll actually mention that information at the end. So everything that I'm mentioning, you'll have a link to go, once you receive this presentation, you'll have a link to go directly to it. So where does VA buy? This is our network contracting office map. NCO is what we call it. The NCOs share the same identifying number as the Veterans Integrated Service Network. If anybody's familiar when we say VISN, so that's on the healthcare side, NCOs on the procurement side. And this shows where those areas are located in. And each NCO, they provide local, regional, and national procurement support towards providing the best possible care and support to our veterans. So for example, if you were located in Idaho and you aren't enterprise-wide, meaning that you can provide services all the way on the East Coast, even though you're on the West Coast, you can only provide those services within your region or your NCO area, then looking at this map, you would know that you're in VISN 20. Why is that beneficial? Well, then you would know when you're going on SAM.gov, look for opportunities in VISN 20. When you're on USA Spending, looking at if you were conducting market research and looking at past information, you could actually add in, there's a filter for the place of performance. So you put in Idaho, or if you're able to work over in Oregon or Washington State, you'd add that information in there. If you were able to provide services in Alaska, you would add that information in there. Past services, it'll help you during your market research to identify if there are current opportunities, or say, for example, you're in Idaho. Not many opportunities for the services that your business provides with VA, but you see that there are a lot of opportunities down in Louisiana. That could help you to identify, okay, well, maybe I need to review my business plan. And if I want to continue providing these services, I need to start looking for opportunities in Louisiana to provide my service. Just some examples that I'm providing today. Here's some more information that's going to be included in the presentation. VA spending fiscal year 21 to present, places of performance. This information is pulled from usaspending.gov. So if you wanted to go to usaspending.gov to look at this information yourself, then you can. But these are just some screenshots of different areas. This is with the United States. And if you look down here at the bottom area, it says, it'll tell you how much so far from fiscal year 21 to present has been spent within these states. So if you see that it's a darker color for anybody that may be on the call, that may be colorblind, down at the bottom, the very last one, the darker color, I see that more than 92 billion within the past 3 years has been spent in these places of performance. Virginia, Texas, and then the color gets lighter as you go, but California, Arizona, Minnesota, this can help you in determining areas of where you can be able to provide service if you aren't already there, or if you are, then the next step could be when you're looking at competitors, who else is doing business in these places of performance. And again, you can find the information on SAM. You can also find the information on usaspending.gov. There's another example of it's either going to be the United States, or its territories. This is Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Alaska, Hawaii, Guam. So all that information, you can go back and you can use it. You can use it as you conduct your market research or you continue navigating doing business with VA. Now we've entered into how does VA buy? So acquisitions are accomplished by sealed bidding, negotiation, or simplified acquisition procedures. And each method is designed to promote full and open competition to the maximum extent possible, allowing all responsible bidders, offerers, an opportunity to compete. So each facility purchases most of the requirements for direct delivery through its local acquisition office. And I just covered that information earlier. The system for award management. You have to be registered in there in order to do business with VA. So if you're not registered in there, don't have your UEI, that can be a little checkbox, and I'll show you something later on as a useful tool that you can use to identify whether or not you're ready to do business with VA, whether or not you're ready or you have positioned yourself to compete with your competitors that are actively looking to do business with VA or that are already doing business with VA. So the system for award management, it is managed by GSA, and it's a GSA system that streamlines the federal procurement process. And you will go there to search for the various notice types, for example, solicitations or sources sought. And I said various notice types because, again, they have sources sought, request for information, request for proposals, any of that information, and I'll cover that in a minute, so I'm not going to go into it. I usually find myself speaking ahead of time. So just for your awareness, if you're looking for those opportunities, go to sam.gov. Now, blanket purchase agreements are a way to simplify acquiring frequently needed supplies or services that fall below a certain dollar threshold. Sometimes we get a lot of questions about micro purchases. Where are they? What is VA purchasing? I can tell you, for example, with our office, we purchase promotional materials when we're going out to outreach events, and we use GSA Advantage. I was just working with a business last week, and they sold peel cutters. For those businesses I did mention earlier about the CMOP program office, well, sometimes peel cutters are mailed out, and that information or those that item is purchased on GSA Advantage. So if you're not already familiar with or on GSA Advantage, I recommend going to take a look at GSA Advantage to see if it will benefit your business to be visible to the buyer, especially as it pertains to those micro purchases. And the micro purchases can be purchased with the credit card. That means somebody in the VA office has the ability to have that credit card and purchase those items under the micro purchase threshold, excuse me. Now, the last one is that I'll mention on this slide, the NAC, National Acquisition Center, contract catalog search tool. And again, anything that you see highlighted blue, or you see the little arrow that says click here, you can click on that and it will take you to everything that is mentioned on this slide, everything that I'm mentioning today. So the NAC contract catalog search tool is the most comprehensive online listing of the VA NAC active nationwide healthcare related contract vehicles that are open to VA and other government agencies. So not just VA uses them, just like not just, for example, not just NASA uses them, VA actually solicits as well. So the contract catalog search tool contains over 1,600 active contract vehicles and over 1 million catalog line items pertaining to VA's federal supply schedule contracts and national standardization contract vehicles, including contracts, blanket purchase agreements, and basic ordering agreements. Now, I'm not going to be able to go into all that information. That's why I'm trying to give you the shorter version, because we only have 60 minutes together. But just having this information today can help you to proceed or, identify where your next steps will be. Here's another tool or information that I provided for you. These were the GWACs or IDIQs VA used in fiscal year 23. Bringing your attention to, for example, HCATS Pool 1, if that's how you pronounce it. I pronounce it that way, HCATS Pool 1. That is a contracted vehicle with the General Service Administration. What you find is that VA in fiscal year 23, what you're looking at is that in fiscal year 23, VA spent a little over $64,000. Within that NAICS code, it is, and I apologize, I forgot to write it down in my notes, but it is the Administrative Professional Code. I think it's 641111, if I'm not mistaken. If you were actually to go do a little bit more market research, you would see that VA actually spent a little over, I want to say $500,000. So that means that VA didn't solely, the offices that solicited for this service didn't solely use this contracting vehicle to purchase or solicit those services. So that means that even though the point of me including this in here is that even though you're going to use this as a marketing research, to identify what contract vehicles VA is using, please know that not always is VA using this every single time. So you'll have to also see how else is VA purchasing and buying. And that's why I included the other information about, SAM, about GSA Vantage, about knowing what the GWACs and the IDIQs are. Now we're getting closer towards the end. Here are some tips for success. So this is a framework for success, and it outlines information that's used to help small businesses efficiently and effectively position themselves to do business. And it also demonstrates steps that promote small business success in federal government contracting. And so what I'll do is I will briefly go through each one of these steps as some tips that you can use. So awareness, risk mitigation, access, procurement mechanisms, performance. What exactly does all of that mean? First, starting off with awareness. During the awareness phase, you gain insight on ongoing contracts and regulatory guidance of VA acquisition and contract opportunity processes. So a part of market research, for example, is you attending this training today, learning about VA as a whole, the VA offices, the services that each one of them provide. If anybody has had to ever interact with VA, if you've made a mistake, or not even a mistake, you've contacted one office and they may tell you, oh, we actually don't provide that, that service, or we're not able to assist you. We'll direct you to the appropriate office. Those offices, each one maintains those services that they provide to the veteran community. And so therefore, in you knowing which offices you should target, then it helps you to better shorten the time frame instead of just reaching out to a whole lot of people. Stating, hey, I provide this service, and they don't provide the service. It gives you a little bit more time back to be able to craft whatever your messaging may be, craft whatever your briefings may be, capability statement, whatever it may be, to be able to, when you are in front of the buyer, really sell your business services or products, or really sell your business itself to the buyer. So market research. You definitely don't want to go up to the buyer and say, hey, I provide, housekeeping services. Do you need my assistance? It'll be helpful if you turned it around, and when you went up to the buyer, hey, I see that, you solicited for X number of housekeeping services in fiscal year 23, or you set aside X number of dollars for housekeeping services in fiscal year 23, and you weren't able to meet that goal. Well, I'm a veteran-owned business, or I'm a woman-owned business, or I'm a HUBZone business, and I can provide those services, and here's my business information. Mitigating risks. You yourselves as business owners, you should, if you don't already, have a risk mitigation plan. VA has to also ensure that they are mitigating risks when they are awarding contracts to the businesses, awarding contracts to small businesses. So risk mitigation essentially protects the interest of both you, the small business supplier, and the VA customer. And by mitigating risk, by selecting eligible, veteran-owned, and other small businesses that successfully meet federal requirements to perform the work as prime contractors or subcontractors, that is some of the ways that VA mitigates that risk. Access. Access is when you're marketing your business products or services to the procurement decision maker. And you're gaining access to the procurement decision maker involves strategically showcasing your business capabilities. I just mentioned that, an example of that earlier. So if there are any business opportunity sessions, sit in on those. Our office, and I'll get to that in a second, our office actually provides on the direct access program side, business opportunity sessions, networking sessions, so that you can hear, we have the forecasting of contracting opportunities pages as well, but so you can hear, hey, this is the issues that we're experiencing. Hey, this is opportunities that's currently getting ready to come out. Procurement mechanisms, it means identifying contracting vehicles and contract types used in the federal acquisition of products and services. So for example, if all of the services that are being solicited from, or this specific service is being solicited via a contracting vehicle, it's beneficial for you to know that information. So I provided some of that information to you today, but it'll be beneficial so that you're not saying, oh, I'm not seeing it here. Where is the information? Why are my competitors being selected and why am I not? Well, are you in a contracting vehicle? Is your information visible to the buyer? That's some information to think about as it pertains to performance mechanisms. Your performance, strong performance translate to revenue growth, cost control, and ultimately a healthy bottom line. So successful businesses, they meet or exceed customer expectations. So this can involve delivering high quality products and services, offering competitive pricing, and providing excellent customer service. Here, you can go back and use this as part of your market research. But for example, if there's a business that's on the call today and you don't know what all NAICS codes with the service that you provide, product you provide, what are those NAICS codes? What are those product service codes? You can actually click on this link and it'll take you to the various different websites. So you can use this information. It was actually provided by the Small Business Administration. And according to the Small Business Administration, you should consider these federal business statistics in your market research and competitive analysis. This is an additional page that you can use at your leisure. Pathfinder. If you have not submitted your business capabilities to Pathfinder, I do recommend, and it'll be on this side, industry side, submit your market research data, submit to the market research database, excuse me. But yeah, submit your business capabilities. It's definitely going to help with your business visibility to the buyer, submitting your business capabilities. And I didn't go through Pathfinder like that because we actually had a whole training on Pathfinder back in January. Respond to sources sought and request for information. Responding to the RFI sources sought, it makes your business or helps in making your business visible to the VA buyer. This is valuable for building your business visibility. Responding demonstrates your proactiveness and interest in the product. In the project. Partnering and subcontracting. There's prime subcontracting partnerships, joint venture partnerships, contracting teaming agreements. One way a small business may be able to position themselves to compete is by partnering with other businesses. Well, how do I, find that information out? Well, if you wanted to partner with a large business or a large small business, go to their website. Well, how do I even find my partner or potential competitor who could potentially be a partner? USAspending.gov. I know you heard me talk about USAspending.gov a lot throughout this presentation, but you can. You go to USAspending.gov, and if you want to partner with a business, if they have an opportunity, if you want to partner with a business that is currently doing business with VA, you go to USAspending.gov. You can filter for the agency Department of Veteran Affairs. You can filter for the specific NAICS code that you would like to partner with them in. If you're providing one NAICS code, they're providing another NAICS code. So you will filter for that information, and then you can go and view all of the recipients' information. There are various different ways you can view the recipient information. But if you're interested in that, the resources I'll provide to you, like our YouTube channel, you could definitely go there and look at some of the market research information that trainings that we provided. Meeting the procurement decision maker. I mentioned that earlier. Attending some of the events that they have or that we have can help you get in front of the buyer, learn what the buyer needs, get in front of the buyer to tell them about what the type of services that your business or products that your business can provide to them. Adding on to speaking about meeting the procurement decision makers, the Technology Acquisition Center, they're having an advanced planning brief to the industry day, which is going to be on June 26th. Circle that there. It's going to be, I think, did it say, yeah, between 8:30 and 2:30, and it's going to be in Fairfax, Virginia. They're also going to be offering hybrid. So for those businesses that are not able to attend in person, you can actually attend online. If you are providing services, and click on here, like I said, click register. Click on here, you'll learn more information. But if you are providing those type of services or products that the Technology Acquisition Center is soliciting for, I do recommend that you attend. The last section, useful tools or useful resources, us, the Small Business Office. For anybody that has never attended any of my trainings today, you know my name because I mentioned it earlier, but I am in the Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization, specifically in the Strategic Acquisition Center on the education and training side. So we do have acquisition support, we have strategic outreach and communications, direct access program, and the Women Veteran-Owned Small Business Initiative. All of that information is listed on this slide. And it will be an arrow here at that point directly to where you can click on VA Forecast and then Acquisition Gateway. So VA is currently transitioning from posting our forecasted information on our VA Forecast of Contract and Opportunities page to Acquisition Gateway. So essentially right now in this moment, you will have to navigate and look at both, view both of those forecasted contract and opportunities pages on those two websites. Even though I provided it earlier, I'm still providing it again because right here you see I included the small business liaison information. So if you wanted to reach out to your small business liaison, when you receive this presentation or when you access this presentation, you can click on the link and then you just, again, look for whichever NCO area it is, and you can identify who your small business liaison is. And some of the small business liaisons we have for, like, for example, the National Cemetery Administration, we have small business liaisons specific to those main business lines or the staff offices. So you can actually reach out to them. Your other VA small business resources, Apex Accelerators, Small Business Development Centers, SCORE, Women Business Center, Minority Business Development Agencies, Veteran Business Center, Women Chamber of Commerce, and then you also have your own state chamber of commerce. The only reason you don't see it underlined and highlighted is because you would have to just use a search engine to type in your specific state and just say Chamber of Commerce, but that information will pop up. All of us, I consider all of us colleagues, all of us, we provide free, or some may provide a fee type service, but majority of us provide free resources, free training, free one-on-one meetings, including the small business office in the section or the directorate that I'm in. So I included this information for you as well. Here's a doing business with VA, doing business checklist. This is doing business in general. Business plan, capability statement, NAICS codes. Do you have it? Check, check, check. And I also provided an additional copy for you to use later on. If you have, like, for example, if any of these do not fit for your business, you don't have to worry about it. Scratch it out, scratch it out. Check it off. You can use this as a resource tool if you need it or if you want to. And if there's additional information, you can always go in and add it in here. Federal acquisition regulations. Nobody's going to know every single federal acquisition regulations, and sometimes they change. So here are some common either federal acquisition regulations or VA acquisition regulations, because you'll know that each agency has their own acquisition regulations as well. Some common ones that will be useful for you to know. But again, nobody's going to be expected for you to know every single one. You'll just have to go in, and of course, the federal acquisition regulations is located online at acquisition.gov, so you can go in and always pull up that information if need be. Market research and procurement opportunities. I mentioned SAM. I mentioned the VA Forecast of Contract and Opportunities page. Networking events, I mentioned that. USAspending.gov, I mentioned that throughout this entire presentation. Individual prime contractor websites. Again, if you're looking at primes to partner with to build up your past performance or to better position yourself to do business with VA, if you feel like, or let me take that back. It's not ever what you feel like. If you have identified that you need to add, more past performance, or you need to add on additional experiences with your business, then you can look at primes or large small businesses to, again, partner with, and you can visit their websites to learn additional information. I mentioned GSA Advantage. I also mentioned FPDS, Federal Procurement Data System, which is supposed to eventually go offline, if that's how you say it, and all that information should be on System for Award Management, but I still included it because you can still use that information. You can still use that tool. Here are a few of OSDBU initiatives. OSDBU has revamped the Forecast of Contract and Opportunities page, which is why I showed you that there are 2 locations right now for the Forecast of Contract and Opportunities page. There is our usual, what used to be it, but eventually we will stop using that, and all the information will be posted on Acquisition Gateway. The women-owned small business set aside to tier 3. So there is a tier when doing business with VA, specific for VA and not other federal agencies, where we're mandated to award to veteran-owned businesses first if they have been identified 2 or more. It's the rule of 2, essentially. So the first tier is SDVOSB. The second tier is VOSB, veteran-owned small business. The third tier is 8A and Hub Zone. And then on the fourth tier, there's the woman-owned small business, and then there's the small business. And so this pending legislation would make woman-owned small business on the same par as the third tier with Hub Zone and 8A. For anybody that has looked at the data and looked at VA meeting its woman-owned small business goal, you're hopeful that this implementation will assist with VA being able to meet its woman-owned small business goal. Also, there's continuing to focus on the equity executive order 13985 concerning the government-wide action plans, those procurement innovation labs, subcontracting plan oversight. Remember, I covered the subcontracting goals earlier. Well, this is one of their initiatives to hold primes accountable for promised work to small business and subs. And then there is the outreach and business opportunity sessions for VA, primes, and other federal and state agencies, increasing those outreach and increasing those business opportunity sessions. Here's our contact information. Again, I am in the strategic outreach and communications. So if you ever email us, I always recommend email us so that we can be able to track your communication. But if you email us, you'll either be speaking to me or my colleague, Curtis Brandon. And here are our social media information: Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. I recommend you subscribe, follow. We always post our training. So if ever you miss it, we always record it. It'll be uploaded, and you can receive a notification if you subscribe once we've uploaded the training, if ever you missed that information. Now over to the Q&A side. I know that we have about 3 minutes left. I'm hopeful as I'm reviewing the Q&A that majority of the information I have covered from any questions that you've asked. So does the VA contract with nonprofits? I will say yes, but it depends on the type of service that you are, with the type of service or product that they're soliciting for. It's not specific to nonprofits. This is just a generalized response for you though. It depends on what they're soliciting for. How does non-medical home care agency get business with VA? Well, you'll have to go into the system to identify the non-medical home care agency information to see if VA is buying for that information. To be honest with you, I wouldn't know right now off the top of my head. So let me go back to our contact information page. If you reach out to me, give me some time, I can look at that information and then I can send you an email. So you can just send the email right here to this group mailbox, and then I can send it back to you in an email. For anybody, because I'm going to try to get to everybody's questions today. If you're not able to stay on the call as I go through these questions, then that's fine. Thank you for attending today. There will be a survey afterwards. If you could please complete it. This is an updated version of our Doing Business with VA. So I will use this information to identify whether or not the information that was provided today is beneficial to the small business community. So please, fill out the survey I'm requesting. All right, back to the questions. Any SDVOSBs looking? Okay, great. It looks like the Office of Acquisition, Logistics, and Construction had dropped construction in the name as of May 2nd. Do you know where construction has moved, or is it under this umbrella? It is under this umbrella. So some of the offices still use the same name. So it's the Office Logistics and Construction. And then underneath, for what you're probably looking for, Construction Facilities Management, they actually fall underneath the Acquisition, Logistics, and Construction, which is ALC. So I'm sorry, OALC. Always with the acronym. So yes, Constructions and Facilities Management, I believe that's what you are looking for, and they do fall underneath there. And I didn't mention it on the slide because that's a common office. We host DAP business opportunity sessions, or it's quarterly one-on-one meetings that the executive hosts with the small business community over on our DAP side. And then there's also the information, you see it commonly on sam.gov. So I verbally mentioned Construction Facilities Management, but I didn't include it on the slide. Which division of VA utilizes? Okay. Does the VA canteen service the program we work with if we want to sell fresh? Okay, I did recommend looking more into that and then reaching out to the office that solicits for that service to identify if there is an opportunity there. But before you do, reach out to them. And this is concerning the question about selling fresh fruit and beverages. Look to identify if they are purchasing fresh fruit and beverages. how are they purchasing the fresh fruit and beverages? Because then if they are purchasing that, which we know that they are, but where are they purchasing it from? Those are your competitors. And before you approach them to say, hey, would you like to buy what I'm selling? Identify what is going to be different. Why should they stop buying from your competitor? So that's a recommendation that I'm offering to you today. Which division of VA buys furniture? So that information is actually included. I don't know off the top of my head because, like I stated, various different offices can purchase furniture because we all need furniture. We all need chairs, right? We're sitting in the office. We need chairs. We need computers. We need desks. Let's scratch out computers because that's on the IT side. We may need those little separator wall thingies, whatever they may be called. Go on to usaspending.gov. Go on to sam.gov. It will show you it will show you whether or not it's from Strategic Acquisition Center or National Acquisition Center. But then when you open up whatever the notice type is, it will mention which office is looking for those services. So that's where you can start from. Morning, hard question to be answered. There's a myth around the industry that the VA gives preference to veteran-owned companies. So why pursue? Is there a preference given to veteran-owned companies first? What is the percentage of awards provided to businesses that are not veteran-owned or veteran-owned women-owned businesses? So VA is, like I mentioned before, and I'm glad that I read this afterwards, we're mandated to award to veteran-owned businesses. That does not mean that non-veteran-owned businesses do not get awarded contracts with VA. If you actually go and do your market research, you'll be able to identify that there are non-veteran-owned businesses that have been awarded contracts with VA. So if you are looking at those opportunities, if you're looking at doing business with VA, and you have identified that it's a slim chance, let's just say, because of the amount of veteran-owned businesses that are currently doing business with VA or that are out there that provide that service or product, and compared to your business, who is not a veteran-owned business, then you could look at what I mentioned earlier, like partnering opportunities, maybe to be able to do business with VA, or this essentially could be with any agency, whether it's a prime sub type of relationship, whether it's a joint venture where you're forming it together. You can look at those various different type of opportunities for your business. Does the VA contract with veteran nonprofit? Oh, I've read that one. Who is looking for VA contractor SDB? Okay. Would the SAC Fredericksburg be the office sourcing initiative scrubs and underscrubs? So for scrubs and underscrubs, that may be listed on the federal supply schedule. So it may be. It may be SAC or the Frederick. I don't know off the top of my head, but what you could do is go to USA Spending. As a matter of fact, I always mention USA Spending. Go to sam.gov, type in keyword scrubs or underscrubs, and look at which offices do you see. Just a brief overview, because I think you can do up to 100 postings on one page. Just scroll down and look and see which one of VA offices are actually soliciting for that. And then that'll help you to be able to identify which offices they are. Again, for anybody that is still on the call, because I'm not able to see how many people are on the call. If you still have additional questions after you've continued to conduct market research, you can always email us and I can schedule a meeting. Me or my colleague can schedule a meeting with you. What are the two sites you use to grab spending info? sam.gov and USA Spending, which I'll include in this presentation when you receive it when you receive the information for where to go to the link by tomorrow morning. Looking for info on open houses for veterans who are homeless or disabled. So there are various different places. If specific to VA, I recommend contact the VA hospital, reach out to the social workers. If either you go in person or if you call, just ask to be directed to the social worker office, and they may be able to provide some information to you about any open houses that VA may have coming up, or non-VA type events for open houses for veterans who are homeless or disabled. Remember, I did mention HUD Bash. So I'll include that information in this presentation, but HUDVASH, HUD Bash. That's Department of HUD and VA partner together for homeless veterans, providing shelter. As a woman-owned business with 2 veteran partners, we are seeking to move to the next level in the process and contact VA Pathfinder? Is there a static email contact from Ms. Stacy Lewis? Not sure about a Stacy Lewis in VA Pathfinder. So what you can do, Nala, is send me an email and I can provide you the email address, the group mail address for VA Pathfinder, so someone will be able to assist you. If this individual is in a specific office, I'll need you to tell me that information as well, because I'm not sure. Like I stated before, over 400,000 employees. So I'll have to be able to look to see if they're in that office. I'm not sure about her being in the Pathfinder office though, but I can get you the Pathfinder group mailbox information. Thank you for the valuable information. I'm taking our renewal of our Department of VA, SBA, OSDBU, OSB certification. What are the steps to renew? Contact the Small Business Administration concerning your SDB, OSB renewal certification. That did move over to the Small Business Administration. So contact their office. If you're still on the call, use your search engine and just type in SBA, SDB, OSB certification. It will take you to the SBA certification page. Scroll down to the bottom and you can call that number and someone will be able to assist you with what your next steps will be. I have a service that is not covered by a particular relative NAICS. The VA is not looking for my service because a specific service is not listed. Who do I contact in order to inform the VA that my service exists? Well, let's go back to the main offices and the staff offices. Who exactly is the listing for those services? And so then let's reach out to your small business liaison to try to connect with being able to do a briefing about the type of service that you're providing. I'm not sure, as you said, it's particularly not relative to a NAICS code, or whether or not maybe it's innovative. But if you like, you can email us and then you can explain a little bit further with me or with your small business liaison. How can a nonprofit be verified as a veteran service owned? So I'm not sure about that question. If you're looking for your business to become verified or certified, is a new term they're using, as a veteran owned business, I recommend, like I mentioned before, reach out to the SBA to discuss the certification process and procedures. Are we restricted to do business only in our vision? I want to increase a better experience for both the caregiver and the patient by utilizing the space in the waiting rooms to provoke relaxation so that the veteran is receptive and participatory. So no, you are not limited to just doing business in your vision. But if you're going outside of your vision or outside of your NCO, you do want to make sure that you're looking at your competitors who may have already been doing business in that area, who are local, or that are looking at doing business in that area. That's a part of that risk, the whole SWOT analysis, if you are familiar with that, to see what that would look like for your business if you were trying to increase your visibility in areas outside of your local area. Does the lowest bid always win, or do quality margins matter? We're an ad agency. How do I highlight differentiators? All of that, I can see where pill cutters would be apples to apples, but creative may be extremely different. I do recommend, like I mentioned before, conducting your market research to see, no, the lowest bid does not always win. And if you do the lowest bid, are you counting, what does that mean for your business? Are you losing out because you decided I'm going to do, the lowest bid? Now, what you could have been awarded for, you could have generated additional money. Now you didn't for the lowest bid. Also, the resources, you're low bidding. These are just some examples that I've seen. This isn't specific to this business or any other business that may be on the call today. But if you low bid and say you need to spend more resources, then you put yourself in a bind where you might end up, losing out on money, being awarded that contract. So to answer your question, no, but do some market research to identify for ad agency specific to whatever type of service that you're providing as an ad agency, what that opportunity looks like with VA. How does the VA purchase transportation? So you can go on SAM and look at which offices are purchasing transportation. You can either search by your NAICS codes, and you can use usaspending.gov too. You can use your NAICS codes, or you can use your specific keyword transportation to see. I will say that what I found is if you are using a keyword, it may be broad. I'm sorry, if you're using a NAICS code, it may be broad. So including a keyword with that can help you to pinpoint which, which office is actually soliciting for those specific services that you provide. Are direct awards to SDVOSBs used? I am not sure about that, Colin, but what I'll do is, because I have to review the Q&A to make sure I respond to everyone, I will reach out to you via email. I'll check with my acquisition support team. How do we obtain a list of upcoming VA OSDBU open house meeting days to schedule appointments with VA small business specialists? So we don't have a list of open house meeting days for you to meet with a small business specialist. We do have an acquisition support team. What I recommend is just send an email over here to OSDBU Stratcom. We meet with businesses, and we also, our acquisition support team, my other colleagues in the other office, they meet with small businesses as well. If whatever, send us an email stating, whatever the question or topic may be. And if our office is not able to assist you, our office is in strategic outreach and communications, I can send you over to our acquisition support team. Could we get access to the January presentation on Pathfinder? Yes, all of that information is included. If you go to VetBiz and look underneath DAP and look for the trainings, it'll say past trainings. You can find the presentation there for all of our past trainings. We upload the presentations after the event. And you can always go to our YouTube channel for a recording of the training presentations. Where do the individual organizations publish their set aside targets? Individual organizations, I don't understand that question, Manny. If you're not still on the call, I'll reach out to you. Is the Pathfinder training from January archived? Just mentioned that. Under what category do mental health and SUD services fall if excluded from health services? So mental health is underneath health services. I'm not sure I understand your question, Sheila. Is there a help center for SAM and SBA to apply for certification for SDVOSB, woman-owned? I'm having trouble during the registration process. Yes. So reach out to the Small Business Administration. Also, the resource, go back. If you're still on the call, these resources here, Apex Accelerators, Small Business Development Centers, those advisors, do not, for any businesses that are still on the call today, do not try or attempt to do this on your own. We are here, and I said, majority of us are free resources to you. Please utilize us, and we can help you out. Of course, you'll still have to do the work on your end, but we can help you out with some of these common, in some of these common areas that you may have issues with. So how do we access the webinar and all the information? I mentioned that. Is there a way to download everything in the chat? No, what you can do is I still have it open. If you're still on, Rich, you can copy it. You can copy the chat and paste it into like a Word document if you're still on the call. Also, I do have a NAICS code, but it's, but going back to you, Rich, you won't necessarily see, so say for example, if there was anybody that was on the call today that sent a chat or a question directly to me, you won't be able to see those. So you'll only see whatever was sent to everyone. Also, I do have a NAICS code, but it is very generic, and the issue is that there is no listing for the specific service, as I'm the only one providing it. So I think I addressed this earlier, but you can utilize these resources that are on the screen right now, Apex Accelerators, Small Business Development Centers, or any of these other offices, or even SCORE, excuse me. Reach out to an advisor. They can be able to assist you with identifying the specific NAICS code for your business. Are all VA micro purchases and simplified acquisition procedures posted at GSA Advantage? Are there any other sites? So it is posted on GSA Advantage. As it pertains to if there are any other sites, there are other locations, but GSA Advantage is where it's posted. What some businesses may do, and I've seen this with like financial services or retirement services, there's a document that can be filled out where a person can submit a request to their leadership to approve for them to attend that type of training. So that is another way for a, for micro purchases, because it will be, underneath that micro purchase threshold. So yes, but GSA Advantage for some of the common ones, or common services, excuse me, or products. Do I need an account for GSA Advantage in order for me to look at the VA's micro purchases and simplify acquisition procedures? I am not sure because it's managed by GSA, but I do recommend when I provide you this information, go to look and see. I think that you do need to create an account or submit your information to be added to GSA Advantage. What about any contractor to help vets navigate the VA, which older vets especially have a hard time with? I have the resource information there. I believe that's what you're speaking to, Dan. Any advisors that are able to help veterans that are having a hard time with navigating doing business with VA. If it's not, please send us an email. How does the VA work with small business prime contractors in terms of bonding large projects as a small business? VA doesn't. Go to the Small Business Administration website. And as a matter of fact, you just type in search engine, SBA and bonding. And SBA has a bonding program. So reach out to the Small Business Administration, go to their website, look at the information that they have for that program. Where is the link to healthcare opportunities in Massachusetts and Connecticut? You'll have to actually go to either sam.gov or go on USA Spending to pull up that information. And like I stated, on both of those websites, you can specifically select, or you can filter for either that vision, or you can filter for that specific state information. Where can I find an in-person support with AA and women-owned small businesses trying to acquire VA contracts as a training, development, and support business? Your resources right here on this page can be able to assist you. Which branch purchases medical apparel scrubs for healthcare professionals? I mentioned that earlier, or I covered that in another question earlier. What is the best way for a new company with no past performance to move forward? I mentioned that earlier. You know, I have seen new businesses that do not have past performance for their business, but they have past performance personal, where they have that experience or that skill set to perform the job. They have been awarded contracts with VA. So it just depends on the industry. If you have identified that you have to have past performance, of course, because VA wants to mitigate risk, then you can always, like I mentioned before, look at partnership opportunities. Does VA allow you to use overseas subcontracts for IT? That all depends. All of that would be mentioned in the solicitations whenever they are posted. You could also go back and look at prior solicitations and do a little bit of market research to look at prior solicitations to see if that was ever mentioned. And then also reach out to your small business liaisons for assistance. Thank you. I don't want to mess up your name, Marlu. I hope I said it correctly. Thank you. How do we provide engineering consulting services in NACS? I covered that information throughout this presentation. What office addresses suicide prevention or training? You can actually go on those websites that I mentioned and type in suicide prevention and suicide training. I actually did or conducted some market research. I want to say it was a few months back. So probably about 6 months ago. So those services are being solicited, even on the call center side. So you can go back and look at that information. We have reached down to the end. What offices address suicide? Oh, I mentioned that one. That was twice. I am seeing 6 months to get on GSA. I have missed out on several SAM solicitations, which moved to GSA after the fact. Kenneth, I'm not sure. I don't understand what your statement is. If you would like to explain a little bit further, you can always reach out to me or my office at this email address if you're still on the call. If not, I'm going to reach out to you anyway. Thank you, everyone who has stayed on today. And I have gone through all of the questions that were in the Q&A. Unfortunately, because it's just me, I can only review the ones that are in Q&A. It's kind of hard to filter to the questions that may have been placed in the chat. But I will go back and look at the chat, and I will send you individual emails concerning any questions that may have been in the chat today. Thank you. Happy Wednesday. We are almost in June, which is my birthday. I'm so excited. So everyone, please enjoy the rest of your day. And again, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us.